Shoot, hold on, Ryan. I'm still I got the sweat just pouring down my back, and it's just well, I do have a stocking hat, and which that probably doesn't help. It's Phil and Ryan right back here on Listen Up, presented by Dempsey's of Sportsland, as the UConn Huskies come away with arguably the game of the year. As far as this UConn program goes, I know it's going to go on our list, Ryan, during the off season as one of the best comeback games of the year. That was a great team win right there as UConn goes on to win 62-60. So many highlights and discussions to get down into tonight, Ryan, in a very quick, short amount of time. And welcome back, Caroline Ducharme. First time, since New Year's Eve? And oh my goodness, did she provide hero-like skills at the end of this, toward the end of this one with the free throws. But I mean, and especially for an unranked team, Creighton, definitely, you got to, in a way, I know nobody wants to hear it on this podcast. In a way, you have to feel sorry for Creighton. I mean, they came out ready to play, and somehow, some way, UConn found themselves down by 11, Ryan, and they inched their way back into it tonight. It's crazy, man. I mean, I really have no words. I mean, somehow they keep, they said on the radio station, that's the motto. That's the motto, is to just somehow, some way keep pulling out these wins, no matter how they do it. And I feel like this may be an overreaction right now. And I'm telling you, they say it's not how you start the third quarter, Ryan. It's how you finish. But it may be an overreaction. I'll get your take, but I just feel like I don't know how to put this, man, other than to tell you straight up front. It's very, and considering the rest of the regular season schedule, right? Consider that. And then you have you reminded me of the conference tournament. And then of course, March Madness right around the corner. I get the feeling, man, that I don't know if we will see any more comfortable, what up there in UConn considers comfortable wins like we're so accustomed to seeing. I told you, man, before we went on tonight, will this be the rest of the season, these kind of ball games, or is that an overreaction?
Well, it sure has seemed like it for these past 4 or 5 couple of games, that's for sure. But like you said, I've been waiting to say it for a while. Caroline Ducharme finally back and healthy, available for tonight's game. And boy, was she a crucial part in tonight's game. Missed 13 games recovering from that concussion. Tonight marked the first time since December 21st that UConn had 9 available players. And to top it all off as well, Jonathan the Husky returned to cheer on the team tonight. So we all knew tonight was going to be a good night. But back and forth for the first 5 minutes, both teams hit a pair of threes. Both teams playing tight man-to-man defense. Aubrey hit one of those threes for UConn. And when Aubrey hits threes, or really when anybody can hit a three for UConn, it boosts their offense a lot. I think that's something they've kind of fallen away from a little bit. It seems the past couple of games, or really this whole season, is the 3-point shooting. So I'd like to definitely see more 3-point shooting from UConn. But Creighton shot 3 of 28 in the first matchup from 3-point range. They went 4 of 9 in the first quarter, so already passing their total from that first game. 3-point shooting was a crucial part tonight for both teams. Caroline Ducharme finally checked back into the game with 1:40 left in the first quarter, received a huge cheer from the crowd, huge ovation. Very competitive first quarter, 19-18 UConn lead. Creighton continued chucking up those threes really the whole game, but UConn, for the most part, was playing good defense. And what I saw from UConn, especially in the second quarter, a lot better passing. We saw some of those vintage precision passes from some of those players, like we're used to seeing. But UConn got their transition game going a little bit as well. But still, Creighton hit some more threes and made it just a 2-point game going into the break. And to start off the third quarter, what do you know? Yet again, Creighton made 3 3-pointers, a couple of buckets. They went on an 11-0 run. Creighton was really lethal tonight, shooting the ball from all spots of the floor on offense. It's becoming very frustrating at times watching UConn because it seems like the communication isn't there. I mean, we're in February, right? And we're letting players wide open that they know can shoot the three. They know can shoot from any spot on the floor. And it's a silly mistakes as well that are really frustrating. The silly passes that just don't make any sense. But again, you have to give props, like you said, to Creighton and their head coach, Jim Flannery. It seems like these coaches now are putting in a game plan in place to try to beat UConn, and Creighton executed that, I'd say, pretty well tonight. The three ball and rebounding was definitely the recipe for success tonight for Creighton. Blue Jays were up 9 at the end of the three. And in that fourth quarter, we saw UConn hit 2 threes. Caroline had 5 straight points. They kept chipping away at Creighton's lead. It was all about toughness, really, in the fourth quarter, winning the matchups on defense and just playing better offense. And we saw a couple of times Creighton still working harder to get the rebound. I can't figure out how or why UConn keeps getting outworked for the rebounds, especially with the size they have. Creighton being a little undersized, I'd say. But like we've seen the whole entire season, UConn doesn't give up easily. And when it's clutch time, the Huskies really show up. Very wild ending. I want to just go over it really quick and break it down. UConn briefly took the lead late in the fourth. Creighton answered with a 3. Lou answered back with a bucket to tie it up. Incredible defense by Dorco got UConn the ball back, and Dork actually missed a wide open 3. But on the other end, Lou took a charge. UConn got the ball back with 16 seconds left. Caroline got fouled and made both the free throws. Creighton takes a timeout, gets the ball back, and Lauren Jensen actually gets fouled with 0.7 seconds left, but she misses 2 free throws, and somehow, in some way, UConn holds on to win 62-60, and it was just an incredible game.
Yeah, very well said. As the Connecticut Huskies improved to 23-4, Ryan, Creighton Blue Jays, the unranked Creighton Blue Jays dropped to 18-7 on the season, very late season. Shout out to SNY and Maria Marino as Caroline Ducharme joined Maria for the post-game conference, or not conference rather, but post-game interview on the floor tonight. Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show, man, what UConn's going through right now because of all the pressure, the fatigue, the injuries. That just goes to show, man, just one player, and you have to keep repeating it over and over in your mind. All right, now we're one player. If things don't work out like everybody wants them to, or how we want them to this season, you have to remember, okay, they're just one more player away from taking the next step. All right, Caroline Ducharme is back. They barely won this game, but a win is a win, right? Now, even if they lose against Villanova, all right, now give me a break. I'm just using this as an example. We can say, all right, now they're one more step away from the return of AZ Fudd. And that means, I strongly believe, and that means, all right, Ryan, check up another win, okay? We're one more season, less than a year away from the return of Paige Beckers, all right? Why don't you check another win on that sheet, on that box while you're at it? So you see my point, man. And it just goes to show how talented each individual is on this roster. 2 different things I wanted to break down very quickly. The first, I saw some comments leading up to this game about if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it. And what they meant was the offense, how the offense is being ran. And I'm still going to say it, even though UConn, hats off to UConn. Yes, they got the win, a very tough battle win, especially inside the paint. But again, I'm going to say it. This is what I'm afraid of, especially down the stretch, even though they pulled this game out. When they run into teams like this, right? Teams like this, what I mean is when they Creighton came out shooting the 3 ball like nobody's business. And sometimes I guess UConn can, and not only that, Dorka Juhas, by the way. Oh my, she's putting on a fantastic show. Some people might not realize it, but Dorka Juhas is one of the top players on this roster right now. Make no mistake of that. And let's not forget what she's doing. I already knew she was capable of doing this, right? The blocks, from the blocks, she tied, I think, Aaliyah Edwards tonight for the most blocks on the team on this roster. But let alone, I'm just afraid of this, of if they cannot block a very good 3-point shooting teams, because we saw what happened tonight, even though it was a 2-point win. I don't know, I'm just not that confident as far as, because we see UConn, they're not that capable. They're not that hot usually from downtown. That's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. But if you're going to play that more physical kind of basketball down inside, like UConn is so capable of playing this, especially this season, and Creighton was ready for it, because Creighton was all around the ball the whole game inside the paint, right? And Creighton did a very good job on offensive rebounds. They did a very good job off the glass. That's a big reason why they were in the game. Most they only lost by 2, right? But at the end of the day, I'm going to finish my point here too, that it's to me, it's very concerning when you speak about the 3-point ball, the other teams down the stretch, because it's just how UConn plays. And again, that's fine. I agree with that person. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But guess what? You like tonight, hats off to UConn. They won. I get it. Now flip the script. If they would have lost, or if they lose games down the stretch, and this other team, whichever team it is putting up threes left and right, what's your argument going to be now when you say about that UConn Huskies style of offense?
Well, and I think that's the case for most of these teams that UConn started to play. And when I mentioned about the game plan that some of these teams are devising against UConn, it seems like most of the focus is them just collapsing inside the paint whenever Dorka or Aaliyah are receiving the ball. There's about 3 or 4 players that collapse on Dorka or Aaliyah, and they just get stuck in the paint and they can't shoot it, and they turn the ball over. So I think we had a comment about how or why Aaliyah hasn't been so dominant like she was earlier in the season. And I think it's just because these head coaches are devising game plans around trying to stop, like you just said, UConn style of basketball, which is to play bully ball most times and get it down inside to their bigs and drive the paint. We're just seeing all these teams collapsing inside the paint and not allowing UConn to do that anymore and really outwork or use their size to their advantage on the opposing team. So that's why I think that the 3-point shooting is going to be so crucial for UConn. And that's why it's so good that we have Caroline Ducharme back now, is because she's one of those lethal threats from outside the 3-point line. So teams definitely can't leave her open from downtown as well.
Yeah.
Also tonight, I think Lou had a terrific bounce back performance. She's kind of been struggling.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring her up. 17 points, led the team. I really like
started the game with what? It started
tonight.
the game with a couple threes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and yeah, not to cut you off, but it's time to get into comments, Ryan. I always like when you break down some of these comments here, and it's I don't know. I kind of I was checking my phone here, and I saw where it said they survived in thrilling fashion, this 2-point victory again over Creighton. To me, I don't know, man. I don't want to downgrade any victory. Very glad to see them win, but I can't tell you, man, how important it is to get AZ Fudd back. And I am hoping, I mean, this would be a nightmare. I'm hoping and praying that she is not sidelined for the rest of this season. I know next season is important as well. And you were on my back about that. Well, Phil, don't rush anybody back, this and that. I know, I get it. I understand, Ryan, but I mean, oh boy. I mean, it's looking like that they absolutely need the return of Fudd if anything is going to happen deep into the month of March.
Yeah, and I think she's not practicing or taking any contact drills or anything like that. So, like I keep saying, I hope we see the return of AZ. But as the days go on and all of these games are passing, I'm honestly not too sure if she will come back. But all we can do is hope. And yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we're just waking up every morning waiting for that ESPN alert. Hey, let's get over to Marcia Clark again. I'm good with just being a guest, she goes. I enjoy watching, cheering, and eating nachos too much. You all are the real pros. If we clean if we can clean up the turnovers and make our shots, we will be okay. Also, I just want to say that all teams bring their A game when they play UConn. This is very tough to manage when you have such a short available roster. Wishing this team all the health and success. Let's go UConn. And Ryan, again, we said that goes both ways. I'm glad Marcia brought that up. When both teams bring their A game like UConn is doing, and nowadays they're opposing their opponents, what does that equal out to be? A very great ball game. That's good for the sport. That's good for fans. Now, I guess that's not too good for diehard UConn Huskies fans. You always want your team to blow any other team out, right? But you get my point.
Yeah, and the turnovers as well. I'm glad Marcia mentioned that, because tonight they definitely did limit them, and that's probably why UConn was able to bounce back and win this game and close in on the gap and come away with a win. Only 7 turnovers tonight, so that's something they did. Even though we still had a couple of silly mistakes there, especially in the third quarter, that kind of allowed Creighton to really open the gap and open up to a 9-point lead. They definitely shut all of that down, all of the silly mistakes. UConn, you could tell they were really locked in that whole fourth quarter, and that's why they were able to somehow close the gap, and they were really focused on both sides of the ball.
How about James says one of the listener comments you mentioned in the video was someone downplaying Maddie Segrist's 50-point game because Seton Hall's best player is 5'3". Really? Was Lauren Park Lane's defensive assignment to guard Segrist? Maddie has been putting up points against everyone her entire career, so I bet the listener wouldn't want her to take a COVID year and come to UConn either. Park Lane just put up 39 against DePaul.
Well, and I think, yeah, I mean, anybody that Maddie, or anybody that's guarding Maddie, she's going to score on anybody. And I think, not only scoring 50, but with that performance, she became, I think I said, the all-time leader in the regular season scoring for the whole entire Big East. So that's an incredible accomplishment. And yeah, I mean, Maddie is just an incredible player. No matter what size or what player is guarding her, she's going to score about 30 every single night. So, but Park Lane, like you said, is an incredible basketball player. Has nothing to do with her size at all. I mean, Maddie's going to put up 30 on whoever she wants any given night. And she really is an incredible player.
One more, Miles Angus. You want a topic for the NCAAW all season? How about the WNBA, especially the New York Liberty and the Connecticut Sun? For me, that has been a natural progression. Each of those two teams have great local fan bases, a lot of whom are UConn fans too. Well, he brings up a good point, Ryan, because we definitely gave that a thought, putting this podcast out there even more as far as women's basketball goes, and really starting to put the focus on the WNBA. It would definitely, this is already a dream of ours, but to cover that on this podcast and to see you all supporting that and the views still pouring in, the subscribers. Oh boy, Ryan, there's not much more that you could ever ask for.
Well, and I brought that up as soon as Stewie went to New York about possibly covering them, and the WNBA, all the teams during the season. So for sure, I think that'd be a great idea, and I think why not? Let's cover at least some of the games, and yeah, I can't wait to watch Stewie in New York play this season, and along with some of the other teams. There are a couple big trades on some of those days, a couple of players switching places and signing back. So it should definitely be another exciting season.
It's all about an exciting season. How about another exciting ball game? Because in the last check-in, Ryan, coming up Friday morning, we have the Huskies and the Wildcats. Oh my goodness, the battle of the Big East. And location is at the Pavilion. I think that's really all that needs to be said. You told me, Phil. Boy, oh boy. We'll just save our predictions for that video. That's all I'll say.